What is this Indus civilization, by the way? We know that this civilization was not just along the Sindhu river. First of all, as people here have difficulty calling Bharat, they have so much got India that they have difficulty calling Bharat. Though the people of this country for thousands of years never called it India. But our people will have difficulty. So similarly, we say Indus. We have difficulty calling it Sindhu. Now, is it a Sindhu civilization alone? Experts are sitting here. They will bear with out and they will discuss about it. This civilization grew along what we call Sapt Sindhu, Sarasvati and Sindhu. Our Rig Veda, in the Nadi Shukta, it mentions about 10 rivers from Ganga to Sindhu. From Ganga to Sindhu, we have 10 rivers. And among them, the 7 rivers, which we call Sapt Sindhu. Sindhu, Satluj, Jhelum, Ravi, Chenab, Vyas, and Saraswati. These 7. This Saraswati doesn't exist today. And that made the critics of Indian civilization, because British had to downgrade our civilization. Because they had to say that we were in dark ages. They could not accept the fact that India was such a great civilization, notwithstanding the fact that at the time of colonization, British scholars had admitted how advanced was the India's civilization. But that was in the later part of the 18th century, after the Battle of Plassey, when they started colonizing and capturing the territory. I'll just tell you one letter, how they have described India's civilization. When 1765, when they had taken over the control of Bengal de facto, large number of British scholars started visiting India. They started unearthing, looking into the India's past. And they were completely astounded. They were apprehensive that, like other places like America and other places and Latin America, these people went and destroyed the whole thing. Here, this will also be destroyed. So a group of professors from Edinburgh University wrote to the British government to commission large number of people to discover, collect, and translate the works of the ancient Hindus. This is the language used. Discover, find out where these are. Collect, take it, and translate. Because this will enrich European science and broaden European thought process. Anyone who has got curiosity, you can go into it. It was March 9, if I remember correctly, 1788. McNaughey was the professor of Edinburgh, who had written it to the British. He says, this will enrich European science and broaden the European thought process. Remember, that was the time when Europe was in the so-called Renaissance, having an age of reason. They was talking about all the intellectualism and the preeminence of reason. So this will enrich the science and broaden the thought. And then they said, this will help us understand. Mark the words. It is a McNaughey word, not mine. It will help us understand the celebrated people. Celebrated people are Hindus, from whom Moses received his learning, and Greek their art and religion. Moses came 1,000 years before Jesus Christ. This was the admission of the British scholars at the time. But subsequently, at the beginning of the 19th century onward, when the need for consolidation of empire became preeminent, they suppressed that. And they started collecting all these and downgrading the Indian civilization, calling it even in dark ages. In that process, they said that no, Veda was a fiction. Where is Saraswati? Saraswati river doesn't exist. And we know that in the Rig Veda, scholars will bear me out. Saraswati has been mentioned several times. Someone says that more than 50 times. Of the 10 mandalas, in 9 mandalas, Saraswati, because even today in archaeology, when we have found the locations of the 7 major cities, 5 of them are located in Saraswati Basin. Whether it is Rakhigarhi, Dholavira, Lothal, Kalibangan. All these are in Saraswati. In Sindhu, there are only two, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. But Saraswati doesn't exist. Saraswati has mention even in Mahabharata. Mahabharata, it mentions about Saraswati in Salya Parva, that when Mahabharata war was happening, elder brother of Sri Krishna, Balaram, who was not happy with this war, he said, no, I will not be with either side. And he went on a pilgrimage on holy places on the banks of Saraswati. Kalidas has written in his Kumar Sambhavam that Saraswati meets ocean near Somnath. Subsequent discovery, 1980 onward, when they're imagining through the space imagery, NASA's Landsat satellites, their images, and later our ISRO, they have conclusively proved how Saraswati originated and how it moved between Yamuna and Satluj. This river ran through. Nuclear physics, as a study of radioisotopes of hydrogen and oxygen, has established the time when Saraswati dried up. Approximately around, experts as usual may or may not agree, but general thinking is about 2,500 years before the Common Era. It dried up. First, it changed some courses, its course. Yamuna and Satluj were tributary of Saraswati. Later, Yamuna became tributary of Ganga and Satluj to Sindhu. And the river dried, tectonic shift, climate change, all these things happened. This Aryan invasion, Aryan came from outside. Aryan as a race, and Vedas are myth. Even in our literature, we say Saraswati is a mythical river. You know what is myth? A lie which is repeated many times becomes a myth. It's not a myth. It was a reality. Now today, scientifically it has been established through satellite imagery and through nuclear physics that Saraswati existed, and also approximate time when it dried up. Now in this civilization, this large civilization in the Sapta Sindhu, it gave rise to those thoughts, those wisdoms, those texts, which became eternal. When Vedas gave us the light, that the entire creation is a family, the Creator having created the entire creation is present in every element of the creation. We are all one. Not only humans, the plants and animals, we are all part of the same. Integrally and organically connected. This revolutionary thought was revealed in the Rig Veda during that time. And by the way, the time of Mahabharata and Rig Veda also has been by and large established. Because we know that it has been now established that Rig Veda happened at least 2,000 years before Mahabharata. And Mahabharata happened about 3,100 years, approximately. That is the general assessment. And all this has happened not through a speculation, through fixing the planetary position. So, not planet, constellation. Planets keep changing. When the modern science, modern astronomy, modern with all these, we have been able to fix it. These are not fiction, these are not stories. As I was reading some of the works of E.V. Ramaswamy Nayak. E.V. Ramaswamy says that Aryans were barbarians, they came and invaded, and they were all drunk, intoxicated, they were dancing and singing, and that song they imagined all these things that happened in Ramayana and Mahabharata. They are all intoxicated songs of these drunken barbarians. Europeans said, no, since there was no Saraswati, there is nothing. First of all, when I say decolonize, let us stop calling it Indus civilization. Can't we call it Saraswati Sindhu civilization? Is it not a fact? If it is a fact, then let us accept it, let us call it. Let us not use those. In our own country, here in this very land, we have a Dravid ideology that believes in that Aryan and Dravidian separate races. Groundwork was done by Caldwell, Robert Caldwell, who wrote the book. Absolutely anyone with a critical eye will read it and will find it's all nonsense. Grammar of Dravidian languages. Dravidian languages, not only Tamil, all Dravidian. But over the time, Rest of the Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, they have moved away. They have no problem. Somehow here ideology is limited to here. They say no, we are a separate, linguistically a separate group. We have nothing to do with the rest. And then race, Dravid separate race, Aryan separate race. These lies have created a political ecosystem which is threatening the unity and integrity of our nation. The history and the truth of Sarasvati Sindhu civilization has to come out in intellectual and public discourse. Intellectuals cannot be just, and our intellectuals have done a lot of harm, there is no doubt about it. Because even after independence, we know that after independence, intellectual space was captured by Marxist ideologues. And Marxist ideologues, they were true, very loyal to their patron saint, God, Karl Marx. And what did Karl Marx say? Karl Marx, he wrote in 1852, 20 essays he wrote in New York Daily Tribune, where he said, the running theme of all his essays was, British Empire has two tasks in India. Total annihilation of India's social order. Because in India, people, they worship cows and monkeys. And collective is so powerful that it doesn't allow individual to grow fully. Because they believed in individual sovereignty. That is the basis of the Western political thought. Individual is sovereign, collective has no place. Collective is made out of individual through contract. That is a social contract theory. So, Karl Marx said, the British must perform two tasks in India. First, total annihilation of India's social order. Because they are all barbarians. They must be destroyed. And second task, to lay the foundation of Western material civilization. So if Marxist ideologues, and historians so-called, if they do that, nothing wrong in that, because they are only being loyal to what Marx said. Our own people, D.T. Kosambi, I wonder how he is called historian. He was everything. He was a mathematician, he was a doctor, medical doctor, he was all not. He wrote, he talked about all this, how dark was our past. And this has been carried forward by subsequent Marxist historians. This has found place in our textbook. Even earlier time, Dr. Tarachand, who was also an archaeologist, what he did? He came up with a thesis when he was in 1922 in Oxford, Oxford Queen's College. He came up with a thesis, Influence of Islam on Indian Culture, and there he says, Alvars, Nayanars, Sankaracharya, Ramanujacharya were all deeply influenced by Islam. I mean, preposterous. But Dr. Tarachand was advisor to the government of India in the initial decade of our independence. They are the people who shaped our curriculum, our text. For a very long time, we kept looking down upon our civilization. And as far as the Saraswati Sindhu civilization is concerned, Dravid ideologues are at pains to find out as much literature as possible. And that is what you find their commissioned retired bureaucrats writing books, how it is different. Their argument is that this civilization, now they use the word Indus civilization. Indus civilization was actually their civilization. Aryans, barbarians came, they attacked, and we moved south. The fact that no such conflict is mentioned in any of our ancient literature, neither in Tamil nor in Sanskrit. Both are the oldest literature in the world. And nothing is mentioned. Even subsequently, as late as, I'm not aware, I think experts would be able to throw better light. But I came across an article, a piece, a research paper in Harvard Medical Journal Cell, CELL, in as late as 1919. When they did this DNA study of the skeletons found in various parts, they found there is a homogeneity. There is nobody from outside. There was no mark of any injury on any of them. People, if they had come from outside, there could have been some differences in terms of genetics. It wasn't. Then they come up saying that in Veda they are talked about cows, but there is no imagery of cow. But the fact is you have plenty of bulls. Bulls imageries are there. Now can you think of bulls without cows? All they have been at pains to find out, to say that civilization here, it is relevant to us. Europeans are now, they are doing away with the race theory and all, at least intellectually, and they are at pains to keep distance from that. And so they don't talk much about the race theory and Aryan theory and all. But here in our own state, there is a reigning ideology that believes and that has been creating, churning out literature, polemical literature, not well researched, I must say, polemical. Polemical literature is you have a viewpoint and you create a document to support that viewpoint. It's not an independent study. They have been at pains to come up that, look, we are different racially. We are different. It is a different civilization. And so much so that people here, the 3 generations of our people here, they have only learned in the textbook what they have been fed. It's a poison which has been infused in the mind of our people, that we are a separate. The fact is that the light that originated, it has spread over the whole land mass.